Speaking of the best, one team is trying to be the best in Division 2 this year. East Keilor already through to the grand final after a very convincing win against Roxburgh Park last week, and the coach, Dave Battistella, joins us on the line. David, we haven't spoken to you since round 7 after your team played at Roxburgh Park, but it seems the tables have turned and you guys are now in the grand final waiting to find out who you'll be playing in 2 weeks' time here at Windy Hill. Hello and welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dave. Hello, boys. How you going?
Very well, and I've got to ask, are you at Coburg City Oval today watching the preliminary final between Roxburgh Park and Coburg Districts?
Yeah, I've actually just got here now. We had a training session this morning, and then sort of just had a lunch together, and now we thought we'd come up and have a bit of a look, and I'm hoping it's a cracking physical game of football.
How does the week off suit your team? Because as you mentioned, a training session today, but was it something that was needed, or do you feel as though your team would have been able to back up for a prelim regardless of last week's result, or was the week off actually a really handy thing to have?
Oh, look, I think the week off's huge, really. I mean, look, there's no doubt I would have said 100%, 21 players would have definitely got up if we had to play again this week. But you've always got those sorenesses. It was a tough game last week. It was hot. The ground's pretty firm, lots of running, so a lot of boys came out of that really sore. So, having that week off just means that they can, we got the 2 weeks to settle. So we sort of had more of a rehab session Tuesday, stepped it up Thursday. We had a fairly, physical good hit out today. We'll have another good hit out Tuesday and then taper off. So it just means we're able to adjust our training, which suits. I came from another league where it was the top 5. So if you finished on top, you had a week off, and then if you won the first final, you had another week off, and that's where I thought it was detrimental, really, because you had 2 weeks off in a month of football. But when it's a final 4, I think in having only the 1 week off, I don't think that does that hurts you. If anything, I definitely think it helps you.
David, Adem, Saricaoglu here, mate. Congratulations on making the grand final. Obviously, it's going to be a massive day right here at Windy Hill in 7 days' time. How are your boys looking at the moment? One in particular that I've really been keeping a close eye on is obviously Dion Hill. Watched him play for Coburg a couple of weeks ago against, I think it was Frankston, and he was really clunking and he looked really, really good up forward. He looked like he had a lot of confidence as well. He's really grown as a player in recent years. So will he be available for the big one next week? And also just the general health of the group as well, how your boys are looking coming into this game?
No, Dion definitely isn't playing. He only played 2 games for us during the year, so he hasn't qualified. The fact that he was playing ones at Coburg pretty much meant we never really got him. So the only reason he played those 2 games, and one was against Roxy early on, was he was coming back from a serious injury. So look, we never at any stage this year expected to have him at this stage of the year. So he's 100% not playing. As I said before, the rest of the boys are tracking really well. As I said, other than general sorenesses, we had a couple of blokes who maybe a little bit worse than general soreness, who had a bit of a fitness going over today, which they got through no problems at all. And yeah, look, we're fairly healthy. I mean, we lost a couple of players early in the year for the season. They're definitely done. We can't get them back. We had injuries all the way through. I think we played 40 senior players this year, which is, I think, a hell of a lot. Normally try to stick it to about 30. But, in the last 6 weeks, we've been able to build a little bit of consistency and get a group together where you've got majority of the 20-player group always playing and only making 1 or 2 changes, which we haven't had the luxury to do. And so, yeah, look, it seems to be falling into place at the right time. But, we know this is one more game, and if you're not playing well, then you're not going to win. And if you play well, you give yourself a chance.
David, Adrian, Jamieson here. How are you?
Good, Adrian, yourself?
Good, mate. A beautiful day, isn't it? Nice out at Coburg as well?
Yeah, no, very sunny out here. I've got to find some shade because I'll go a bit red sometimes. So, but it's a good day. It's not too windy. There's a little bit of a breeze, but lovely day for footy. Now,
your 1s and 2s both through to the grand final. You'd be happy about that?
Oh, definitely. I mean, last year, we lost a lot of players, when I first got to the club, and our biggest problem last year, we had no depth whatsoever. Our 2s regularly ran out with 16 players, and we were consistently getting either coaching staff or whoever would just chuck the jumper on to always, get a full side going. So, our number one goal at the start of this year, or, once last year ended, was let's build our depth up because, if we have injuries, we just can't cope. and we did that where we probably started the year with around 50 to 60 players, which was huge. And now to have the twos in there as well, just it gives us luxury. It just gives us more numbers to pick from. Our training schedules are a lot better. Our numbers are better at training, so we're able to work on more match-related sort of subjects. And look, the hard part is, of course, when you get numbers, you're going to have 2, 3, or 4 who are going to miss, let alone in the ones, but they're going to miss a game in the twos, and that's always tough. But that's what good football clubs do, and so that's probably our biggest advantage this year is that we've had really good depth.
One thing that we've been talking about in the pre-game show was Mick McGuan and his level of preparation and how he'll be here scouting Aberfeldy's twos today in preparation for their ones tomorrow. And Brodie Holland retired during the week, one of the most amazing dossier-building sort of research merchants of local footy. But what about Division 2? How valuable is intel on the opposition at a Division 2 level? And when you head to Coburg Districts today, what is it that you're actually hoping to see in order to prepare your team for the victors next week?
Look, I think it doesn't matter what level of footy you're playing, any intel's useful, because sometimes coaches try different things. They play key plays in different position that you're not ready for. So if you're able to see that and find out, how that player plays in that role, then that's an advantage for yourself when you come up against them. I mean, last week we had someone go watch Roxy in the last game against Moonee Valley because we thought, they were going to be, we needed to know a few different things. And there was a couple of players who we hadn't played against us, like Nathan Mander for instance. So we just needed to know how he goes about his role. Like today with Coburg, I looked at their list, and their list is very strong. So it's probably more about just having another good, refreshing look with them, seeing where their keys are, where they run the ball through, who uses it more, is there a go-to player. And then with Roxy, on the other hand, probably seen them because I've seen them last week. It's more about how they adjust. They had a few injury concerns last week, how they're going to adjust to that, who comes into the side, will they mix it up a little bit, will they change their forward line. When we lost to Moonee Valley in the prelim last year, we lost by 3 points at the end of the day, and we had a young side, but they had 2 under-18 footballers who I hadn't seen before. I think kicked 5 or 6 goals between them. So when you lose by 3 points, and there's 2 blokes I haven't seen, and they've kicked 5 or 6, if I was able to know who they were or how they played, it might have been an advantage my way. But in the end, it wasn't to be, and that our season was over.
Dave, I don't know if you consider yourself a neutral for today's game, but obviously you know these two teams quite well. Roxy have obviously been up there all year. They seems like being the main challenger to you, and Districts have been that next step back, it seems, but that gap might have closed up a little bit today. Can you give us much of a perspective on what you are expecting as far as exactly how this game's going to play out today, and who you might be playing next week? Are you willing to give us a tip for maybe who is the favourite today?
Oh, look, it's probably a hard one. I mean, at the end of the day, you would have said Roxy were favourite going throughout, the season. They'd lost one game coming into finals and got beat last week, but they didn't have a lot of luck, Roxy are going to pride themselves on such a strong season that they believe on the players that can back that up. Now, Coburg, on the other hand, was the dominant third team all year, but actually pushed both us and Roxy every time they played. They were never blown away, so they were always close. So they would know that if they can just take their opportunity a little bit better, that who knows what could happen. Now, they had a good win last week, and they're definitely very strong and healthy today. So that's a real tough one, only because, a lot might depend on who Roxy up or how well Coburg start. I think Coburg start well, that gives them the belief that they can actually do this. Whereas maybe if Roxy get the jump, then maybe, Coburg might have in their head that, okay, so it's not going to happen. So look, I'm never going to tip, I suppose. I'll sit on the fence on that one. Who I'd rather play, I'd never say that either, because I think it doesn't matter who you'd rather play. At the end of the day, you've got to play well and worry about what your side does. And what I do hope, as I said, is I'd love a real cracking, hot, physical, running game that's close to the final siren, and that will do me the world of good. And,
we've received some mail that Matt Mickelson suffered a knee injury again last week and won't be playing today and could be out for the season, which obviously means Roxburgh Park's 2 main forward attacks might be out. So that'll be an interesting twist as well to see what Paul Derrick and his team tries. Dave, the league medal is coming up on Monday week. We actually spoke off-air during the week about potential East Keilor players in the team of the season, but do you think you've got an outstanding player who might actually be a candidate to be the best in the comp this year?
Well, the funny part is probably who I would have said didn't get an invite. So I know who got an invite. So there's only one player in our side that could possibly get up there. So I don't know if I'm supposed to say that.
No, that's all right.
So the only one, I mean, we only had the one player who got an invite. So I don't know how the invite works. If it says, I'm new to this league, been here a couple of years, but in the old league I went to, if you're in the top 10, you got an invite. So as I said, I don't know how that works, but yeah, look. Last year, if you asked me the same question last year, I would have said Hayden Phillips from us had to be up there. He's not playing this year. He was one of the blokes, unfortunately, got injured mid-season for the season. But he ended up with 3 votes, so I'm probably not the greatest of tips when it comes to that.
And I'm sure there is someone who thought he should have got invited, and probably East Keilor probably had to put a big mirror in for him in the club rooms. That's Robbie Rutley. He's kicked 35 goals, come back from the bush to help you out. He's been a good pickup.
Oh, look, again, going back to prelim last year, other than we didn't have depth, we had a lot of young kids. We had a lot of kids who were just playing to come up from the 18s. And, we were 5 goals up. I mean, but it was a decent win, so we knew it was going to be tough, but we just needed a little bit of some senior experience just to control play a little bit. That's where I felt like we lost it. We just didn't have enough composure out in the ground, it was a 15-minute burst. Moonee Valley got back in the game, so this year we aimed for some experience, and we were able to get, Russ, who's been fantastic for our forward. We were able to get Marky Caruso back, who's just, he's played a lot of football, knows when to settle things down. Mondi came back to the club. He's 27 as well. We picked up Scotty Eldridge, who's 27. Unfortunately, he's one of the other players who got injured mid-season for the year. So, but at least he stayed. He's around, and he does a lot of sort of coaching as well. So that was our number one thing, that we were able to just stabilise where we had 3-4 players on the ground. So if a side got a run on against us, those people just say, "Oh, let's just settle. Let's not panic, and let's just see if we can control the game again." And so that's what Russ does a lot. He's a very smart footballer. Whenever he plays deep forward or up the ground, he gets a lot of the ball, and he barely wastes an opportunity. I mean, he kicked 3 in the first half last week. And I suppose that what makes us a bit dangerous is that we don't have anyone in the top 5 in the goal kicking, but we have a list of, I think Brendan Lucas is in the 40s. I've got Ruts who's high 30s. You've got Mondi's in the high 20s. You've got Rizza's now kicking some. You've got Daniel Neville kicking some. So we're not reliant on any 1 or 2 players. We're able to share the workload, and that sometimes makes you a little bit more dangerous. And
I've saved perhaps the most serious one until last, because there was a long suspension in the middle of the season for Jordan Madden. We actually had a Moonee Valley guest on around the time that it happened, speaking about the impact of the incident, and there's some serious fallout, I suppose. How has it affected Jordan coming back into the team, having had 8 weeks off, and where's he at with his match fitness, and also where's he at as far as between the years, knowing that he's got a role to play, and he is actually one of the most important players in your team?
Oh, look, Geordie, Geordie's... What people forget is Geordie's just a kid too. He's only 20 years old. And look, he made a mistake, whether it was totally intentional, whether it was just, spur of the moment. At the end of the day, he copped his fair whack. It was the first time that he's been up for anything like that before. He cops a lot of attention when he plays, because he's a quality footballer, which probably gets unseen and unnoticed. And I think he just... it was a moment that he probably regrets looking back and wish he went about the whole thing a little bit differently. But he hasn't missed a beat since that incident. I know we've spoken to the other player involved since then, but he's trained the house down since, and there's no doubt, he's never going to be as match fit as people have been playing all year, but he just keeps working hard. He works hard at training, he does all the right things. And he's putting his hand up. He wants to play, and we all know how good he can be. So, players like that, look, they're young, they make mistakes, and it's how they bounce back from it. And at this stage, he's bouncing back. He knows he owes a lot to his mates and the footy club. And I just think, he's quality for that, knowing when you've done the wrong thing and willing to make up for it.
Well, we appreciate your insights into the team, David, and all the best for the grand final. We'll be there, of course, in 2 weeks from today here at Windy Hill. But enjoy the prelim final. I hope you, as a neutral, get the contest that you're hoping for, and all the best at preparing your team through grand final week. It's a great time in the footy calendar, so enjoy it, and we'll see you on grand final day. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me.
2 p.m. to 5 p.m. we'll be up at Greenvale for the Essendon Ford Division 1 preliminary final. West Coburg taking on Taylors Lakes, and the coach of the West Coburg Football Club, Digby Morrell, has joined us in our commentary position here at Windy Hill. Digby, I'm sure you would have preferred to be having the weekend off and looking forward to the grand final, but I guess we'll cut right to the chase. What went wrong against Tullamarine last week in the qualifying final?
Yeah, listen, we were bitterly disappointed. I spoke to the boys at three-quarter time. We're still in the game, hadn't played the way we really want to, and still had an opportunity. All I needed was a few players to sort of, take the game by the scruff of the neck and start to play a little bit more the way we've played all year, and we stepped away from that, which was frustrating. We tried to throw things around to get the boys up and running, but it just didn't happen. And, to Tulla's credit, they really, slowed the game right down. And their key forwards gave us a little bit of grief, although, on the whole, I think our key backs, stood up under a fair bit of pressure.
Digby, your first two home and away matchups against Tulla this year were both radio games, so we saw them on both occasions. And obviously you got them on both times, but obviously the first time was really close, and on your ground they seemed to really struggle. Did Tulla throw anything different at you guys on the weekend that perhaps surprised you? No,
not really. I thought, in watching the game and watching it back on video, I didn't think either midfield really had any control over the game. I just think, their high half forwards came up and got involved in the game, and our key forwards really gave us very little. I mean, I think we had 2 contested marks inside 50 by our 4 key forwards for the day, and, it's just not good enough. I mean, we ended up trying to kick the ball down the line, which is not the way we want to play, and obviously that makes the job really difficult for the forwards. But, getting that output from our forward half, it's not good enough.
How much of that was delivery and how much of it was just how on song was Tulla's defence?
Yeah, obviously Tulla's defence did a great job. I thought they rolled back and supported each other really well, but our ball use was pathetic, to be honest. We've played away all year of coming back into the middle of the ground and trying to use the ball and move the ball really quickly, and we went away from that. We went back to backing off the mark and kicking down the line, and you're not going to win many games doing that.
And what did you do at training during the week? Did you work on what happened last weekend, or just get back to basics? Or
we just reaffirmed what we've been doing all year, with our ball movement and how we want to set up structurally and support our back six. So we just spent time like. You don't win 15 out of 16 games doing something wrong, and that's been the message to the boys all year. They've got to stick to what we've done all year, have faith in what we're doing, have faith in our structure, and the boys know that. I think there was obviously a few some mental issues that the boys had from a few years ago when they played here, and really, really pleased that we got to play here before the grand final, and hopefully we can pull our finger out tomorrow and give ourselves an opportunity to come back here and rectify that.
What happened to Fidax? Because I heard on the grapevine from other clubs that he's out injured for the year.
Yeah, well, we don't know really. I mean, he had a medial strain in the last game with about 3 minutes to go, which was pretty annoying, but he's a small chance. We got him off to see the Carlton doctor, and he gives him a small chance. He's starting to move around now, so really, we just got to give him an opportunity to get up. Whether he does or not, probably doesn't really change things for us too much. I mean, we're pretty structured in what we do, and whoever comes in, and they've shown all year that it's really, our personnel's been irrelevant. We haven't had a full team all year, so young guys have come in, and there'll be another opportunity for a young guy to come in tomorrow and get the job done.
What about the forward line? Is Rory Cleary available? Are you yourself pulling on the boots? Is Pazzy going to ruck, or is he going to play forward? Without giving away too much.
Yeah, listen, our forward line will be different tomorrow.
It'll be different?
Yep.
Different with you playing?
And, I won't leave all our secrets out.
Yep.
It'll be significantly different. I spoke to the forwards who played last week. Although the delivery was poor and our ball movement was poor, you can't accept what was put out by our key forwards last week. And, there'll be significant changes, and, we're hoping those changes bring a little bit more leadership and a little bit more zip up forward line. And, we've banked on a range of goal kickers all year. So, we're not asking anyone to turn up and kick, if Rory plays, turn up and kick 7 or 8 goals. Or, someone come in like Stefan Barak and kick 7 or 8 goals. It's just not going to happen in our side.
The fact that you will have a different look up forward tomorrow, is that based on what happened last week against Tulla, or did you get a look at Taylors Lakes and perhaps assess how to structure up against their backline?
Oh, listen, I came and watched the whole game on Sunday, and I thought it was a ripping game. I thought West Meadows did a great job and took it up to them, but probably just the class factor was the telling point in the end. But no, that's really from our end. We've got some standards down the club, and the boys have really adhered to them all year, and we didn't do that in semi-final, and a couple of blokes have paid the price for that. So, it's really beneficial as a club to have guys pushing up and putting pressure on the senior guys, and it's a great position, as hard as it is, to be able to sit back and say, well, your performance is not good enough, someone else can come into the side.
What do you think of Taylor's Lakes? They got you, obviously, a couple of weeks ago, and they got Tuller as well, so
Yep.
they've left their runs at the right time of the year. What's your take on exactly where they're at?
Oh, listen, their top-end players are very, very good, and they've got something slightly different as a team. I think they've got a little bit of leg speed, in some of their small forwards. Obviously, they've got some high-quality midfielders in D'Souza and Morrell. Obviously, Ragusa plays outside those guys. So, some of the talent they've got there is as good as going around. And, they've obviously started to get on a bit of a roll, and they've got a few players back. So, listen, if we go in tomorrow and we play anywhere near our top, I'm confident we can get the job done. And, that's been the message to the boys all week, that, they've got to back in what we've been doing, and, take a lot of faith from 15 from 16 games, and that's what we'll be doing.
From within the playing group, it seems that Marwan Abdul-Wahid is, a real voice, a real leader.
Yep.
How much responsibility do you think he carries tomorrow, given he's going head-to-head against, as you say, Morrell and D'Souza, two of the best inside mids in the comp?
Oh, listen, I think Marwan was disgusted in his game last week, and I'd expect Marwan, as the kind of person he is, to really come back out and have an impact on the game. And his inside ball winning ability is very, very good, and his ability to be able to evade tackles. So I think it's going to be a ripping challenge against him and D'Souza tomorrow. I think very similar kind of players, both great users of the ball, both inside players. So, I really expect Marwan to stand up and really drive our team tomorrow.
Your old boys are in action not too long from now. You're going to get a look at some of the boys you once mentored today?
Yeah, really looking forward to it, actually. It's been a bit unfortunate I haven't been able to get back and watch. All our buys have fallen on the same weekend as Strathmore. So I'm really pleased. It's great to look at the list, and, it gives you some solace, I suppose, looking back and seeing some of the real high-quality kids like Mitch Purcell come through, Marcus Stapleton's continue to come, Xavier Allison. Some of the young kids we put a lot of time and effort into last year as a coaching group at Strathmore, continue to develop. And Clinkers has done a great job, obviously, to get them to top spot. And, obviously with a mix of the old blokes, I think, they might have a couple of them out today. But, to see those young guys come through, means we're in the right direction last year. I think as a club we decided that was the way we're going to go. And, I think they're, reaping the benefits this year.
Are you an EDFL man for life, for the foreseeable future? Or, do you think VFL... potentially the AFL system, or maybe just a different league, whether it's suburban or country? Because the offers will come knocking. You've had some success, and you may well win another premiership this year. But do you think much beyond the EDFL as it stands at the moment?
Listen, not really. I signed on for West Coburg for 2 to 3 years. I sort of like to go in and make sure the program's running the way I want to play it, and you can't do that in 12 or even 24 months. So the short term's definitely with West Coburg, and I think it's an exciting time for the club. I think we had 6 out of 8 junior teams in the finals. It's the first year we've amalgamated the juniors and the seniors. We've got a strong association with Coburg, and we've got a lot of kids down there. So I think it's going places. Long term, unsure. I'm a phys ed teacher by trade. It's a pretty good living. It complements the local football scene really well. So it'd be a big decision to step out of that. But in saying that, if the right offer came along, I could definitely see myself stepping into TAC or VFL, or possibly even back into the AFL system.
If I can ask you a more broad question, how connected do you feel to the AFL now that you're 6-7 years out? Do you watch it closely? Are you a fan, or is local footy really sort of your life at the moment?
You spend 95% of your time at local footy, which is great, and I think what you see today is completely different to what you go and see in the AFL. I didn't actually go to a live AFL game for 5 years, not by choice, just young family and football commitments and work. And I went earlier on this year to North Melbourne, Richmond, and just the game is completely different. And whether it's a good or a bad thing, that's up for discussion. But I think once you leave the system, it's very hard to stay intact. They live sort of different lifestyles and train during the day and are pretty isolated. I'm pretty glad I played when I played, because you could still have a little bit of fun when I was playing, but the poor buggers can't get away with anything these days.
And just last one back on EDFL matters. This year is the 5th year now that the relegated Premier team has not come straight back up. So
yep.
Not since, I think, Oak Park in 2008 has the team that's gone down bounced straight back up into Premier Division. So it's certainly been a while.
Yep.
What do you think this means for Essendon Doodle Stars, for instance, who in the closest relegation battle through that 5 years have been the unlucky ones squeezed into last place. Do you look at Division 1 next season with no easy games, only an 8-team comp now? If you're not in the top 4, you're looking over your shoulder at the drop.
Yep.
Do you have any thoughts on just where Division 1 is at as a competition and what Essendon Duda Stars will bring to it as a league next season?
Oh, listen, I think you can see by the Northern Saints what they did this year, go up and be really competitive. And I think the top 3, in Div 1 would be very competitive. Not with the top teams in Premier League. It's just not viable. Different resources. Let's put them down to, and that's a factor of life. But I think with the resources Essendon Duda Stars have got, their ability, their positioning within the EDFL, I think they're going to be a very strong team next year. And if anyone's going to look like bouncing straight back, it's probably them. But they've obviously got a few issues they need to sort out. If they don't do that, then there'll be sides that are cracking on to get up.
I know it's a big fortnight coming up for your particular footy club, but you do know Premier very well, obviously.
Yep.
How well equipped is West Coburg to go up if indeed you guys do end up going up there next year?
Yeah, listen, we think we can be very competitive with the team we've got. We'll need to add probably 4 or 5 key structural players. But the talent, and coming from Strathmore, the talent of our juniors, the talent of the young guys in the senior side is pretty comparable. I mean, it just depends on whether you can complement them with a little bit of seasoned leadership and ability. I mean, Strathmore bringing in Adem Yakabuchi, proven leader. I mean, that's the key to staying up. I mean, getting those guys to come to your club who can drag that talent along and continue to develop it. I think if you just go up with just merely your young guys, it's so much pressure on them, and whether their development is held back a little bit, needs to be considered. But listen, if we could work our way into a grand final, which we hope to do tomorrow and have a crack at it, we're confident heading forward that we would be able to put a competitive team on the park, and whether playing finals in our first year would probably be questionable, but it would be very close.
Well, Digby, all the best in tomorrow's prelim. We'll be there watching the game, so good luck. We're looking forward to seeing a game between 2 non-Greenvale teams up at Greenvale. It's an interesting neutral venue, so one certainly that we enjoy commentating at, and we look forward to seeing your team go around tomorrow. All the best.
Beautiful. Thanks, boys. I'll see you up there.
We will now go to Coburg City Oval because the Roxburgh Park coach Paul Derrick is on the line after his team advanced to the grand final. Paul, thanks for joining us on EDFL Review.
No worries, mate. Great to be here.
What a sensational day for Roxburgh Park, home by a point in the end. Tell us about what happened at Coburg City Oval.
It was just, really hard slog all day. I don't think there was more than 2. We just worked hard and ran hard. I think it might have got to within 3 points or 4 points at one stage. And then we attacked again. We got one, I think, and then they got one probably 10 seconds before the siren, just at the end there. So, it was it was just a close game all day, and it was just 2 in the end. It was going to come out the winner, and luckily enough it was us today.
Paul, congratulations on the win. Moving forward, obviously, you've played the grand finalist already. How do you think today did today act as preparation? Are there a few things that you're going to tweak moving into the grand final, having already played the match last week?
There'll be a couple of things we still have to work on. At times today, again, we probably didn't do the right thing by the team, so we've still got to work on making sure we're doing that 100% of the time. But there's still little things we need to work on, and still some options we need to have a look at of which way we'll go. We'll look at some matchups and decide on the team Thursday night. Some big calls to be made, I suppose, but today, proud of the whole 22 that ran out there, so it's hard to make a change, but we'll just go by what we need on the day and what will be best for us, I suppose, in the end.
We understand that Matt Mickelson didn't play, so your 2 forward guns are out. How hard was it, and how many sleepless nights did you have trying to construct a forward line to kick you a match-winning score? And I guess who did the bulk of the goal kicking for you today?
To be honest, I couldn't tell you who kicked the goals. I think there was a spread. I don't think anyone might have got more than 2 if they're lucky. Matty Walker might have got 2, I think. It was just a good spread. We rotated the forward line a fair bit. We tried, smalls, talls, rotated that around. Went bigger at times and then went smaller at times. And just tried a lot of combinations. But the guys were on and working hard, so we knew whoever we put up there was going to give us a good effort. And in the end, good spread of goals, I think, in the end. I couldn't tell you for sure, but I think it was a good spread of goals. And just, like I said, blokes just, wherever they had to play today, they did the job and put their heads down and worked hard. And, they're quality opposition, Coburg, real strong forward line, so we just have to be careful of that at times. And in the end, the boys, hung on for a while to deserve win. It would have been heartbreaking to dropped the game when we had worked so hard. And I thought the last quarter we probably were playing better. It was just whether they were going to snatch one or not. And the boys just worked their bums off. So full credit to them. And we hopefully put on a better showing than we did last week. This time next week.
And where was the ball when the siren went? Did Coburg District go inside attacking 50 or have any little half chances with half stuff?
No, I think it was back in the centre. It might have got. I think it got balled up and then the siren went. They kicked one, like I said, just a couple of seconds before the siren. But they were down in their forward line. Probably 90% of the play in the last quarter was in their forward line. It was just a real great effort from our back line. They stood up. They met every challenge, tackled hard, pressured hard, ran the footy out. And I think in the end we got our goal. Just ran the length of the ground, just using the footy, run, and got us over the line in the end. And we knew we had to score, and I think we kicked a couple in the last quarter.
What's it going to mean to the club to be playing in a senior grand final? I mean, we've been talking about it, the media at least all season, about the prospect of getting through to the big day, but what does it now mean to actually be there and get to live this next week? How exciting for you as a coach, but also for the club and the players and the supporters that you are heading to Windy Hill for the big stage in a grand final?
I just said to someone before, we went to that pre-season launch. I looked out at Windy Hill and I just thought, geez, we'd love to be here one day. And then all along, at times we've talked about it. We just had to stay focused on week to week. But this is massive for our club. Probably from the outside, a lot of people haven't thought much about the Roxburgh Park Football Club, but hopefully this puts us a bit on the map and we're on the rise and we're just a young side who's going to work hard for each other. And, I think the future's really bright at the club. And, we're all pretty excited. We're all pretty excited to get the opportunity.
Paul, what are your plans for training during the week? Do you just go, the players know their roles and just have an easy week on the track, or have one hard session, recovery tomorrow?
I've told the boys now they should probably be looking at the pools, the beach, whatever they need, Sunday, Monday, get it both out of the way. Tuesday night, I will do a little bit, but mostly just work on our structures a bit and just have a look at the way we thought Keilor moved the ball last time and work on that sort of stuff. Thursday night, back to normal, just a normal Thursday night, probably do a nice 45, 50-minute session. A lot of ball work now. I mean, they're not going to get any fitter this time of year now. They're pretty super fit, the boys. It's just a matter of, because they're young, just keeping their minds on the job at hand for the whole game. And, we go in, giving ourselves, I know last week we were really, probably after quarter time, I thought we were a really good first quarter, and after quarter time we let ourselves down. And we had a big meeting about that Tuesday, and, the boys had their concerns with each other and with the way we were going. And I thought today, from the moment the game, we got into the rooms, the boys were ready to rock. And, we just hope to have a normal week on the track. I know it's really hard to say when you're heading to the grand final, but it won't be anything over the top. We'll just do our thing and show up on Saturday and hopefully put our best foot forward and give it a real crack.
Well, Paul, we really appreciate you joining us on Northwest FM straight after the game. Now that the heart rate has settled down, enjoy the week that is grand final week, and look forward to seeing you back here at Windy Hill next Saturday for the Division 2 grand final. All the best, and thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks very much, mate. Appreciate the time. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thanks, Teo. I'm joined here by the victorious Strathmore coach, Craig Clinnick. Craig, first of all, congratulations on what was a terrific semi-final. How did you assess that final quarter?
Oh, look, firstly, thanks very much for the good wishes. I appreciate it. Thanks for your support on the radio. Look, it was a great game of footy, the last quarter. I thought Avondale started to get on top a little bit at periods in the third quarter. They got a little bit of momentum, got a little bit of outside spread, won it at the source, and had us under a bit of pressure. And I was wanting that third quarter to end as quickly as we possibly could. I think it was probably the shortest quarter of the day, to be honest. At three-quarter time, I was fully confident. We'd been in this place before. We knew what we needed to do. We learned a lot from when we played Avondale at Avondale. Early in the year, we had the draw, and the boys executed the plan to a T. And, we stand here advancing to a grand final, and we can wait for who we're going to play in a couple of weeks' time.
You now go into a 2-week break before the grand final. How will you prepare? Will it be a moderate preparation? Will there be an intense preparation, a bit of both? What will the preparation be exactly over the next fortnight?
A combination of all of the above. Look, five players play tomorrow in the reserves that have played 15 games or more in the seniors this year. So those 5 players, they've obviously got to prepare to play tomorrow, and they're all really playing for a spot in the grand final team in A grade. Hopefully we win tomorrow in the 2s, which gets us into a prelim in the 2s, which would be awesome, and the 18s obviously into a prelim next week. Look, we'll train hard. I mean, we've trained hard. We've worked against a program and a schedule now for, since October last year. Nothing happens by accident. Everything is well planned. We'll have some load early in the week. We'll tailor off towards the end of the week. We'll train hard next weekend, as if, not game style, but certainly in terms of work rate, kilometres covered, it'll be game type. We're not going in for any rest. We're going in as if we were playing next weekend, so we're ready for the following week.
Tay, do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, if you could hand the headset to Craig, and we'll leave you with the microphone, Tony. Oh, well, we've got an ear in. All right, Craig, congratulations on the win. When Keilor was off the chain in the third quarter there, what was the instruction to the defence, and what were the messages being sent to the runners? Is there much you can do from the sidelines when a player's taking the game by the scruff of the neck like that?
There's not a lot you can do. I mean, what did Keilor and Rose kick between them today? What, 10 of 11?
Yep.
I mean, quality players. The ball gets into them enough. They're hard to defeat. They win their one-on-ones. They're great kicks for goal. Ideally, I'd like them to be winning the ball a little bit higher than inside sort of forward 40. I'd like them to be winning the ball between the arcs, but unfortunately it didn't pan out that way. Terrific players. But look, to be fair, I thought Richard Little did as good a job as he could on Keilor, and I thought Robbie Douglas did a good job on Rose. I know they've kicked 10 goals, but I still thought our guys did pretty well.
Craig, congratulations on the win, mate. I thought it was an impressive effort. Who did you think your better players were? I really liked the game of Carl Stout in the midfield. I sort of thought that he gave you guys a few clearances, and obviously Matt Little up forward. But who do you think your better players were today?
Yeah, look, Carl Stout was good. I thought our midfield was very good. I thought Jacobucci, I thought Horn, and I thought Lyons were very good. I thought Stout did some good work. I thought Nick Mazzio on the outer wing did a super job, the far side of the ground. And look, in terms of forward, I mean, Matty Little, I know he's rated highly by a lot of people, but, in our side at the moment, we're fortunate to be normally getting Matty Little to the fourth defender or the fifth defender. And once we can do that and isolate Matty, I mean, he's a hard matchup. He's probably kicked 5 today. He'd certainly be in my votes. And
Heppel got tagged today. It was a change. Ghazi swung a few changes in the third quarter. You were always confident, with Cravina going into the middle. Did you think, right, we're going to have to sit someone to go with him, or just back your midfield to go with him?
Look, in today's game, we backed our midfield. I think we've run plenty of run with players through the middle of the ground all season. We made a decision at match committee on Thursday night that we wanted to go head-to-head. We didn't plan to run any run with roles. There's got to be a responsibility and some accountability of the players who play through the midfield, and that was certainly the responsibility of some of our players today. But we went head-to-head. We know Cravino's a quality player, but he hasn't played a lot of footy. He's been out for a long time, and as fit as he is, come straight into a second semi-final is a massive ask. And I didn't do it. I couldn't do it. We didn't play our captain today in Dale May. He'll play twos tomorrow because I just couldn't see him making the step up from having played one game of footy in 6 weeks. So that's my view on it.
Craig, I just want to digress from this match slightly. You are the stats man, and you spoke to us about this before. You seem to have everything so regimented and organised. Tell us about some of the things that you guys would do at training to monitor that load stuff that you were talking about before.
Well, we run GPS systems. We run a number of guys with watches. So we're, I'm across in terms of the game style training we want to do. I'm across the period of time we want to be on our feet and the length of time we want to spend at top pace, medium pace, no pace. And then I try and eliminate from training the standing around time. I mean, you don't stand around the game, so I can't see any value standing around in training. But our guys this week will cover, we'll probably cover 6 kilometres Tuesday night and probably between 8 and, I don't have it in front of me, but it'll be between 8 and 10 on Thursday night. And then we'll do 10 kilometres on the weekend. So that's kind of a bit of an idea of the work rate for the rest of the week.
Wow.
All right, and one last one, because we're almost out of time. Players who were up and down today and didn't give you 4 quarters but still gave you big contributions, particularly Matt Knight. 2 goals in the first, barely sided him in the second or the third, and then he's kicked a very important goal and broken the lines a couple of times again in the last quarter. What does it say about your group that when guys are having a down day or when they're being tagged out or maybe fade in and out of games, that they can still produce their best when called upon? Because we think that execution today was one of the things that really stood out about your team. Yeah, look, it's a tough ask, I mean, someone's going to get more attention than someone else in the forward line or in the midfield. Someone's going to, I mean, we've got Heppel on a back flank being tagged today. We've got Knight, kicks the first 2, get some real genuine attention. I then have to play a part in that as a coach because I've got to say, righto, do I need to work to get him off the chain or do I leave the responsibility to him to get off it? We try and work our players in pairs whenever we have a tagged player, whether it's a forward or whether it's a mid or whether it's a back. We try and have a pair situation, so 2 people are responsible for it.
And in the event we can't get that and we need to get the ball in his hands more, then it's my job really to make things happen. So that might be taking him off the ground. It might be moving to another position. It might be let's go tall for a minute and then slide a small on. But, I thought today, you're a good example on Nida. Probably a little bit like Leach, probably a little bit like Xavier Allison. They weren't four-quarter players, but they all made an impact when they had to.
Craig, thanks for joining us. We're out of time, but we'll speak to you more in the lead-up to the grand final. Enjoy the week to prepare and preliminary final weekend, and we'll see you back here at Windy Hill on the 13th of September.
Cheers, I always get cut short. I must talk too long. Thanks, guys.
Thank you to Craig Clinnick, the Strathmore coach. Ash, thanks for joining us on Northwest FM Football. Firstly, congratulations on advancing to the grand final last weekend.
Thanks, Teo. Yeah, I'm glad to be here watching and not playing today. So hopefully they can beat one another up and not put a few out of business for next week for me.
How valuable was the week off as far as your team? I mean, were there players who needed it, or is it more just the fact that one extra knockout game and the chance to advance direct is what any team would want to do in that situation?
Oh, I don't know how advantageous it is. I mean, over 120 years of footy, I'm sure there's plenty of teams that have gone through and then been defeated or gone through and won. So whether that's really a factor, I don't know. But all I know is I'm in. Or not I'm in, Tullamarine's in, and we prefer to be in, and these two sides have got to fight it out today. So that's the only advantage really, is that one of the sides has an advantage that they already know they're in. I think we still trained hard during the week, so I guess the other advantage is hopefully the other teams have more chance of getting an injury than we are at the moment.
Ash, congratulations. Firstly, mate, what are you looking for today? Are you looking at potential matchups, or what are you looking for out there between these two teams?
Well, I mean, we've got a fair idea already how both sides are going to play. I mean, we've played West Coburg twice in the last 5 weeks, obviously in different conditions both times. I probably want to have a look more at the Coburg boys that I haven't seen play much in Cleary and Abdullah. But other than that, most of their side we're pretty much going to know. So from Taylor's Lake's point of view, their side, we've been locking horns with Taylor's Lakes probably up the top of the ladder for the last 4 or 5 years. So there won't be too many surprises, I wouldn't think, that they can throw out on the ground that we won't know. It's more so about watching the game and enjoying the contest. And, if we can learn a little bit, then that's a bonus. We'll see how we go.
How's the side looking going into next week? Is there any injuries or anything that... we could...
No, we'll be at full strength. If we're not good enough, then we're not good enough. The only player we had out last week was Keilor. He'll come back into the side. He's trained all this week. He's 100% ready to go. The only downside of that is someone's going to be unlucky to miss out from a second semi-final. Someone's going to have to go out of the side, and that's unfortunate. But, we'll be at full strength, so which is a much better position than we were in this time last year when we had about 10 out of the preliminary final side.
And Ash, I know it's not usually about individuals, but has Johnny Tate already booked in his tattoo appointment for the potential premiership tattoo? I know he only has very short legs and he's covered a lot of them with his previous exploits. But
I was just going to say, it's just as well he started off getting small tattoos because he would be running out of room. Tatey's already committed again to signing on next year as well, which is unbelievable. I think he's about 37 or 38. He played a terrific game for us last week, actually. A couple of times this year I thought he was might be the end for him, but he keeps going. He's still probably one of the fittest 2 or 3 guys on our list, and I'm sure he'll be looking forward to trying to add another premiership tattoo to his burgeoning repertoire that he already has.
Now, what about the future, Ash? I mean, are you committed for next season regardless of whether you win or lose the grand final?
I've agreed to, the club's asked me to coach again, and I said that I would. A lot of it will depend on, if we go up, just the commitment of the players. I mean, I've tried to sign up some of the players already, and we've probably signed up 15 or 16, which is good, but there's probably a few guys waiting to see what's going to happen. Our probably biggest problem is a lot of our list is ageing. A lot of our players are probably 30 plus we recruited a few guys that will probably finish at A grade. So our dilemma is whether those guys will go on, guys like Daniel Mangan and Johnny Kent and Mick Egan and Cole Laurie, and these guys are all north of 30. So that's going to be a dilemma for the club's going to have to face. Whether if all those guys stay, I think would be competitive, but we've got to cross next week's bridge first.
I was going to say, not to put the cart before the horse, but do you spend much time thinking about the recruiting you'd have to do for the seniors, the depth in the reserves, and the absence of under-18s? And is it something that you can't think about because it's so much work that it would be putting the cart before the horse?
No, you think about it. I think about it all the time. I probably think about football too much and not enough about the other things in my life, unfortunately. But, I mean, it's just a necessary evil that you have to think about it. But the reality is, if we don't have the money, we don't have the money. I mean, there's no point thinking about who we're going to recruit. If our budget's X, Y, Z and we need to recruit A, B, C, well, you can't do it. It's as simple as that. So, you know, we'll have a budget and we'll stick to the budget. We won't put the club in financial... not peril, but we won't put them under financial strain. So we'll recruit within our means, and if that's good enough, then that's fantastic. If it's not good enough, that's the way it is. It's the same this year in B grade. We didn't go out to win the flag. We just recruited up to the money we could raise. We spent the budget, and it's got us into the grand final. If it's good enough, it's good enough. If it's not, well, so be it. And,
guys, any other questions for Ash before we wish him all the best for the day?
No, just good luck next week, and we look forward to seeing this game and seeing who your competitor is, Ash.
Yeah, have a good call, guys. I enjoyed listening yesterday. I listened to the radio while I was watching the Premier game. It was a fantastic call, and hopefully you guys have a nice close game today and they beat one another's brains out. Oh. See you next week, guys.
Thank you, Ash.
Terrific. Thanks, Teo. Robbie, congratulations on a terrific game. Well fought, well deserved.
Thank you very much. It was a tough game. Tails Lakes, awesome side, so it was a great effort by us.
Digby said during the week that last week's game, the ball was very stagnant. How were you guys able to reassess and prepare throughout the week for this afternoon?
I think it was just reiterating just what we've played and trained for all year. You know, I think we probably got overwhelmed a bit by last week, and we just sort of went back into our shells. Whereas today we sort of moved the ball more, ran around, and played our normal footy. So.
How will you go into now the next week to prepare for the grand final against Tullamarine? They've had a week off. How will you go into this next week to prepare and play your hearts out for the grand final?
Yeah, like I say to the boys, it's just another game. Prepare normally. We'll probably just ease into it Tuesday and probably have a solid hit out Thursday night. So
all the best for next week. Great game. Congratulations.